It's that time again where I do a deep reflection over a long year's worth of review work. And in this video, I'm going to name the most standout and best hi-fi digital source components, but also the most standout and best AV products that I've looked at in 2024. And you might ask, why are those two categories in the same video? You will see. Let's start with hi-fi digital source components, because I didn't review that many different products in 2024, but there were three that were very standout that were also very different. And the first one I want to talk about is the Wiim Ultra, which you can see just there on the rack behind me. And I've used the Wiim Ultra as part of two review systems so far. And let me just say, it massively exceeded my expectations for what it costs. But I have only tested it so far, acting as a digital music source being fed into an external DAC from its USB output. But the fact that it has a USB output and that it does this job incredibly well for the asking price of £339 really stunned me, because it's so much better at doing this than I expected. But it's the overall package with the Wiim. Take it out of the really lovely packaging, plug it in, it sets itself up almost with a very easy update system, all done through the Wiim app, which is so easy to use, so polished, so simple, and yet still very feature rich. And then acting as a music source, it's very easy to just get music playing from Tidal, which is in my instance, and then you have a great set of features such as EQ, that's all easy to use. And the sound quality, like I said, massively exceeded my expectations for the price. Now, yes, when you compare it to more expensive, better digital music sources, they do sound better, but they cost a hell of a lot more. And the step down, or the Wiim, really holds its own. So I haven't spent a huge amount of time with it so far. I need to test all of its functions. I have spent a few weeks listening to it as part of systems for reviews, as I mentioned. And that was enough, just using it as a digital music source, for it to be very worthy of a PPS Standout Hi-Fi Product Award for 2024. But right at the other end of the spectrum is the XACT S1 music server, which is claimed to be the world's first high-end computer-based digital music server that is 100% linear powered, because XACT have built their own custom motherboard, rather than using a generic computer motherboard and then bolting on many things to make it sound better, such as I think every other high-end computer music server manufacturer does. And I have a very long history with building my own computer-based music servers, going back more than a decade. And I actually never thought that we would see this, that a hi-fi, a boutique hi-fi manufacturer would build a custom motherboard for this type of product, because I always thought it would be too costly. But no, XACT have done it. And as a digital music source, it's been the cleanest and smoothest sounding digital source I have listened to so far, where the usual signs of digital sounding music are just not there. It's a very digital, tensions-free sounding music source. And that takes a little bit of getting used to, because we are not used to it at all. But not only that, the JPlay Music Library Control app that's designed to be used with the S1 is one of the best apps I've used so far, because it's simple, easy to navigate, easy to build a play queue, and it works via UPnP, so it's very flexible across loads of different pieces of hardware. And in the last 6 months or so, I've seen many manufacturers declare their music servers as JPlay app certified, which is really great. Like I said, this is a really great music library app to use that's flexible across loads of different products, again, because it's UPnP. So anybody can use it as long as you use iOS devices. And it will cost you less than $50 for a year, or less than $200 for a lifetime. So it's not an expensive app for how much you might likely use it over maybe a lifetime. And there is a free trial, so you can give it a test before obviously you commit to any purchase. So the XACT S1 is a very cool and impressive technology development that is expensive at £12,000. However, that is less than its competitor best of the best digital music servers that are available, so there is that too. And the XACT S1 very much deserves a PPS Standout Hi-Fi Product Award for 2024. Next up is a product that I never thought I would be giving praise to, let alone an award to, or even any fault to. And that is a CD player, because I was a very, very early adopter to computer-based music playback. And I left CD players behind more than a decade ago. But this year, I revisited the silver disc to review Cyrus's new 40 CD, and later its power supply upgrade. And that same setup is still on the rack there behind me. Hopefully you can see it just about there, the CD player and the power supply. I actually thought this CD player, with or without the power supply, sounded really fantastic, but specifically with its DAC in the apodizing filter mode. I really like the stealthy look of the 40 CD, even though it's my least favorite looking of the 3 new 40 series products, because the screen is much smaller. But it's still uber modern and cool looking, with a real touch of class or glass about it. As I said, I think it sounds really good as a standalone CD player, but it sounds a hell of a lot better with the external power supply. In fact, when you do that, it sounds fantastic. So for the 40 CD to make such a big impact on me, for me to ask Cyrus to keep the CD player here for a period of time to use it as part of the system for other reviews, was really telling to me for how much impact it made on me, because like I said, I haven't been interested in listening to CDs for more than 10 years. And yes, it's not cheap at just under £3,000 for the CD player, and almost another £2,500 for the power supply. That is a lot of money. But if you listen to a lot of CDs and this is going to be your main music source, I'm sure you will get many hours of fun and pleasure from it. So it's a worthy PPS Standout Hi-Fi Product Award in 2024 for sure. Moving on to AV, or really projectors. I reviewed 6 different projectors in 2024, ranging from just a few £100 up into multiple thousands of pounds. But before I get into what was standout there and what was the best from that bunch, I want to speak about screens, because the screen you use with a projector will have a massive impact on the picture performance that you are going to get. And in fact, if you don't have the right screen for your viewing environment, you will not be getting the full benefit of the money, the projector that you have invested in. I see people make this mistake all of the time. This year I compared 2 mechanical fluorescent ambient light rejection screens that looked almost identical but were really quite different in terms of picture. But both being ambient light rejecting screens meant they were perfect for my non-fully light controlled room. Because unless your room is really dark or really black all over, that means it's not fully light controlled. And what actually happens is the projector shines really bright light at a massive screen, which then becomes a huge light source that lights up the room, and that affects your picture quality. So with projection, if you want to get the best image, really you either need a really dark, really a black room, if you can a back cave, or an ambient light rejection screen. You really need one or the other. And the screen that I found or preferred from the 2 that I tested was the more affordable of the 2, and that is the Nothing Projector Black Series screen. And this screen is designed for ultra short throw projectors, and the image quality I was getting from 2 amazing UHD projectors, the Valerion Vision 3500 Pro and the XGIMI Aura 2, was nothing short of incredible. So do not overlook the importance of the screen. And the Nothing Projector Black Series screen wins a PPS Standout AV Product Award for 2024, as this is now my new reference screen for UHD projection in 2025. Then for projectors, the XGIMI Aura 2 UST projector was fantastic and a lovely looking design too. The JMGO M1S Pro 4K was very impressive for a gimbal based triple laser projector for what it costs and how quiet it was in operation while still being mega bright with great contrast and a very clear image. The Dangbei Atom, this tiny little Mac Mini sized laser projector, was only 1080p, but man, it produces a bright and colourful image that is amazing for its size. So if you want a super small or travel type of projector, the Dangbei Atom was very impressive without breaking the bank. However, the big standout projector of the year was the Valerion Visionmaster Pro 2. Firstly, because of its overall design, being the nicest looking projector I have ever seen. I mean, look how lovely it is with all that metal framework and the finish overall. That includes a really high quality remote control and a new style of power supply. And as a projector, it's fully featured to the nines, with all of the HDR formats being supported like Dolby Vision, IMAX Enhanced and HDR10+. And it's a triple laser projector with nearly an all-glass lens, with amazing tone mapping and contrast enhancing technologies that produced the best image I have seen from any normal throw projector that I have reviewed so far, and some of the best projected images I have seen to date. That are bright and colourful, but the image is so well managed for the darker scenes and the highlights, so the clarity and composure of the image is always exceptional. So the Valerion Visionmaster Pro 2 could easily be my best AV product of 2024. It's easily worthy of that award, except you cannot buy it in 2024 because it was launched on Kickstarter with retail coming soon. But the Kickstarter campaign was so successful with nearly 5,000 backers, and Valerion raised over $10 million, which is incredible. I think it's one of the highest Kickstarter backed projects ever, and definitely the highest for this type of product. So that was amazing, and I would love to say that my video review was the full catalyst for that. Of course it wasn't. Lots of creators got their hands on that projector. Everybody said pretty much the same thing, and there was comparisons done with much more expensive JVC projectors, and the Valerion more than held its own. But take those comparisons with a pinch of salt, always do. And like I said in my review, it's good enough to be knocking on the door of what JVC and Sony are doing for a third of the price. So it's not my best AV product of 2024, but it gets a PPS Standout AV Product Award, and it's massively well deserved. And you'll see more about this projector and the even better Max version coming from me in 2025. So now it's time for me to name my best hi-fi digital music source and AV product. And amazingly, the product that I'm going to name straddles both of those categories really very well, which amazes me, to be honest. And of course, the product I'm talking about is the Zidoo UHD8000 Media Player, which was pitched to me as being a high-end hi-fi music source and DAC, and a media player to play all of your ripped Blu-rays or 4K Blu-rays and other media files. And my first thought was those two things should never be put together. However, I was wrong. For playing streamed music from Tidal, Zidoo has its own app. But as Zidoo are the parent company to Eversolo, we get almost the same app experience as Eversolo's music streamers, which is a great app experience for navigating music with a lot of the same excellent features such as EQ. The build of the UHD8000 is actually better than Eversolo's A6 for using linear power supplies, and it has an equally good, maybe slightly better DAC section. I didn't love the DAC section, being totally honest, but as a digital transport I preferred the Zidoo to the Eversolo A6. And yes, we don't get the fancy small screen, instead we get a HDMI out, which makes our big screen TV or projector a big screen for the Zidoo. So we can have giant VU meters if we want. We probably won't do, but we can. And this feature makes the Zidoo perform more like a much more expensive hi-fi Rose. So for a hi-fi digital music source and DAC, if you want it to be the UHD8000, bests an Eversolo A6, so it's doing a very good job. But that is not its big strength. Its big strength is when you install some hard drives and load it up with 4K Blu-ray disc rips in my case, and how you get a fantastic library management system with all the album posters and quick and easy fast way to navigate around your whole movie library. Because it really is very polished and graphically pleasing. And then when you spin a movie, you get an Oppo 203 beat-in experience with perfect picture and really fantastic sound. And then with some cool features like AI upscaling and other things if you want to use them. But it's such a fast and responsive system to use all of the time. And there can be a little bit of library management needed, and that bit can be a bit frustrating. But once that is taken care of, the user experience, I would say, is about perfect. And I was using old, slow mechanical hard drives, and everything was still fast and snappy. And that is what makes or breaks a product like this, the user experience. So the Zidoo UHD8000 became my main media source for Projector and other AV product reviews in 2024, and that will continue in 2025. And I actually think it's just fantastic for what it does, what it can do. Mostly on the movie side of things, but music as well, for its asking price at the time of the review, which was £1,099. So yes, that is a chunk of money, and there might be additional costs involved for hard drives and stuff too. But of course, you can connect it to a NAS if you already have one. But I just like its flexibility, and I would mostly use it more for the movie side of things because that is where it really shines for me. But like I said, I could have it on that hi-fi system there behind me as a digital music source, and I would be happy with it as well. So the Zidoo is not perfect in every way, but it massively exceeded my expectations in the ways that I was using it. And it thoroughly deserves to be my best hi-fi digital music source and AV product of 2024. So there we have it, and I appreciate it might seem like there's a whole load of categories missing here, like speakers, amplifiers and more. And that's because I've made a dedicated video just for high-end speakers and a dedicated video for my best amplifiers and vinyl playback gear. And both of those videos will be linked down below in the comments section and the description box. I hope you found this video enjoyable, helpful and interesting. If you have, smash the thumbs up button, as they like to say, and subscribe to the channel for more.